Hi again, everyone, and welcome to Charger 360, telling the stories of the University of New Haven. I'm J.W. Stewart, along with Bruce Barber. Bruce, how you doing today?
I'm doing so well, J-Dub. I'm so excited about today's guest. He is, I like to say, a discovery that I made. Now, I do have many talents, J-Dub, and I think one of them is I can see a star when I know a star when I see one, and one is right here, Joe Markowski. He is the host of the Nashville Sound on 88.7 WNHU, the award-winning radio station of the University of New Haven. Joe, thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, it can't be an introduction like that, that's for sure. But, I appreciate you both having me on today. And Bruce, I love what you did with the radio station.
Yeah, thank you.
But,
it's a little spruce up we just did. No, so J-Dub, I'll tell you the story. We're so lucky to have a 1,700-watt radio station here on campus. It was started by students 50 years ago. And it's my honor to be the general manager of the radio station, overseeing things, but it's a student-run station. And so Joe wanted to do a show, started doing a show, and I remember hearing it one day and saying, this student sounds like a professional broadcaster. And the show is called the Nashville Sound, and we've been working on it together. So I can't wait for you to hear more.
I was impressed just by doing my research prior to the show yesterday, looking at all the stuff you've accomplished. You're a sophomore, and you've accomplished so much in your short time here, but tell us about where you're from, Joe, and how you chose the University of New Haven, and maybe more importantly, how you got set up with this guy here.
Well,
Which might be the best or worst decision you've ever made.
Exactly, right.
I could go either way.
You have to weigh it, right.
I don't know.
There's goods and bads. No, all good, really. And I couldn't have a better mentor than Bruce. But, for me, I come from a small town, Guilford, Connecticut, about 20 minutes from here. And, really the choice for the University of New Haven was extremely easy for me because I have had so many people in my family who chose to come here. It goes back, we have a relative in the family who actually started coming to the university when it was on Yale campus, and he remembers when Maxey Hall was first purchased and they were putting paint on the walls there. So my dad went here, my uncle went here, so I did tour other schools, but I will tell you this, that the University of New Haven made a point and made it known that here it's family. And the connection which I've made with my professors and my friends here, I don't think I could have made them anywhere else. And Bruce is my mentor, but I'm also proud to call him my friend. So it's something that I don't think I could find anywhere else.
Yeah, that's so nice to hear. I hadn't really, that's great, Joe. I hadn't thought of it in terms of family that way, but it is very much that vibe, And so you choose the University of New Haven. You're a legacy. I didn't even know this. I have had the good fortune to meet your parents and to hear all the stories about what a close family you have. And you said that had a lot to do with how you built your radio show, the Nashville Sound.
Well, Bruce, we've met for the past 2 semesters, every Thursday, for about an hour or so.
He's a very wise student. He's taken 2 independent studies.
I couldn't get enough the first time.
From me, exactly. I thought I had sent him running for the hills, but he came back for more.
No, and I'm glad I did, because in one of those conversations we had was, in typical radio, sometimes it's just going in and out of songs, right? And we kind of discussed that, different styles you could have. And I said, well, maybe I should just go that way. And you said, well, Joe, hold on a minute. You said, I kind of like the old Joe, you said, where you kind of get on there and you just tell stories and you make that connection on the radio. And like you said, I think that in a way, it's from the values, the close family and friends that I was brought up with. And I do try to bring that on the radio because I think it has the power to connect people.
We got some photos of you on the radio station, which we'll put in the video wall here, but I'm curious, and this is a country show, obviously, the Nashville Sound. I kind of, when I was looking at the photos yesterday doing my prep work, I kind of figured I'd see you in the hat, or maybe a cowboy hat today. So
No, cowboy hat's not really my style.
There he is in the main studio. Before that, you saw our state-of-the-art podcast studio. So one of the things I've been encouraging Joe to do is to think about his radio show, the Nashville Sound, as, it's funny, coming back to family, and that's great with the storytelling, but building a community around it and offering content on various different platforms. So not only doing the 2-hour weekly show, you've been doing interviews with different country artists.
Yes.
You've got a social media feed that's going. You've got a website. Tell us a little about those elements.
Well, one of the best things that makes you feel good, about this whole thing is when you get artists that reach out to you and want to come on the show, whether they be from Connecticut, the New England area, or maybe they come all the way from Nashville, Tennessee.
This happened.
Which we've had, so far we've had 3 artists who've come from Nashville. And one of them is, a girl, she's only 18 years old, but she also happens to be Alan Jackson's niece. So she has country music who, goes through her blood. And matter of fact, there she is right there.
Wow.
But, it's so touching when you have people that believe in what you're doing, which is traditional country music. And it means so much to me that I'm kind of able to give that back to them, give them some spotlight right here on WNHU.
Tell the story about, this is a great story, and what I'm always when I'm working with students, I say to do what you did, tell stories on the air because it gives context to who you are and what the music you're playing is. But tell the story, so you have a passion for restoring old cars, and that's shared with members of your family, and tell the story about finding the old original cassette tape player.
I will, yeah, and that's something that you've always encouraged me to tell stories like that. But I'm going to start off probably even before then. So, and that's really how this whole country music thing got started, was working in the garage with, my father, my grandfather, and you can't work in the garage without music, So my grandfather has, on either side of the garage, he has these 2 huge speakers. And on a summer day, he would love to just open up the garage doors and let the whole neighborhood listen to country music. So, memories like that, growing up and working on cars, listening to music. And, working on cars, I have this 1985 Chevy Blazer that I've been working on with my dad and my grandfather. And, the dash was kind of all screwed up, and I wanted to get it put back to the way it was in 1985. So one of the things they did was they took out the old radio and they put in this new one that has a DVD player or CD player and everything. So I wanted to put the original radio back in, and I got to working on that, and I put it back on, and finally I got it to all work out just right. And it has actually a cassette player in it, believe it or not. And one of the things I did to see if it would work is I put an old Patsy Cline cassette, and that was the only thing I had around. And I was so happy when it, got to work. And just memories like that. It's funny how your hobbies kind of connect with country music and the radio and so many other things. It all kind of comes together at the end.
Yeah, so that's how you fell in love with country music, as you said, came through your family, working on the cars in the garage. You have an appreciation and a love for country music and the history of country music, because you're not just listening to the current artists. I mean, Patsy Cline, that's about as early as it gets. Who are some of the artists that influence you, especially some of the, what we consider old school artists?
Right, so, I mean, I'm a huge Alan Jackson fan. He's probably my favorite. Vince Gill, you mentioned I don't wear a cowboy hat. He's kind of my style, Vince Gill, but Dwight Yoakam, a lot of people who I've grown up with, people like that. But I would say getting back to family and values, that's something that when you listen to traditional country music, it's a lot different than a lot of the stuff they might be playing on mainstream country radio today. I mean, the stories behind traditional country music, it connects with me, and I think it connects with a lot of other people. So whenever I get the opportunity to have a new traditional country artist on the radio, I welcome that because, like I said, I love to give them the spotlight and say, sure, I might love listening to 90s country and stuff before that, but there's no reason why this music can't still be played on the radio today.
And what's great now is that, I mean, you've got listeners, so J-Dub, here comes my first OK Boomer moment of the day. But back when I was doing radio, you could only hear, say, WPLR in the greater New Haven area.
Wow.
Okay? But now, with streaming, you can hear the Nashville Sound all over the world. And you've got fans and listeners from all around the country, right?
Yes, all the way from California to Maine.
Tell us about your sponsor.
Yes.
Out in California.
Yeah, I mean, I've been blessed to have people who believe in me, like you guys and the school, but sponsors who have wanted to sponsor the Nashville Sound. We have 4 so far, and one of those sponsors is all the way from California. And he just reached out to me one day and he said, you know, I've missed this kind of music, he says. You can't find it anywhere else, so he's been tuning into our show every Tuesday for the past 2 years now. And he signed on to become a sponsor, and he's in the hay business. That's what he does, is he goes out and he bales hay, and matter of fact, he'll send me pictures of while he's out there, you know, in
Joe,
a
I
combine.
think you should give us a little commercial for him.
Yeah.
Now, please, right here on Charger 360.
If we actually put that together one time, you turned around on a video, you said, well, if you ever need hay, turn around, you could hire Norman Martin Custom Hay Service. But,
Norman Martin Custom Hay Service.
Ching.
Right.
There we go.
But it's just amazing how this music connects people from different backgrounds and people from all across the country. I've really been blessed to have that.
I'm curious, I don't follow country music all that much. It had that popularity surge in the 1990s. Where is country music now in terms of popularity?
I believe it's getting extremely popular, and you know, around the 2000s, and especially now, you kind of see a change in country music where it's a mix of all these other genres, pop, rock even, maybe even, you know, rap, but which is great. I encourage all musical styles. But what I really believe is, you know, country music has changed up and down. In the late 80s, you kind of had country music was more pop. You had people like Ronnie Millsap out there. And then in the 90s, a guy named Randy Travis came around. Everybody knows Randy Travis. He brought back traditional country. Like I mentioned, 2000s, it's kind of changed a little bit, gone back to pop. And I think in the next 5, 10 years maybe, you're going to see traditional country music back on the billboards again. I do believe that.
Wow, that's incredible. And you know, it's great to see you enjoying this and thriving in your role as a broadcaster. You know, here I am 45 years later after starting in college radio. And so if a potential student is watching this now, what do you say about, you know, what you've seen, the opportunities that have been presented to you by being a Charger, by being a member of the University of New Haven community?
A lot of opportunities, that's for sure. And like I mentioned, opportunities that I wouldn't have found elsewhere. I mean, just looking at the radio station and the whole communications department really as a whole, maybe you're not into radio, maybe you're into television. We have Wayne Edwards. He worked for ESPN and had a great career himself, and now he's working here at the university. And just professors and people that not only support their students, but are able to support them in a way through their background and just with connections, and really, you know, they take their experience and they pass it on to the next generation, which is so appreciative of people my age.
Yeah, that's right. We've also got Paul Falcone
Yeah.
is overseeing things.
Yeah.
Years and years as a filmmaker. Susan Campbell in our journalism department, Nikki Chavoya.
Diane Smith, Tom Garrett, right? The
Paul
list goes
Casella,
on.
that's
Yeah.
right, Tom Garrett with an amazing film career.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we're all about.
You come here to the University of New Haven, you learn from the best, people who actually did it.
Right,
So-
and like I think you guys said in a past episode of Charger 360, look behind the cameras, it's all students.
That's right.
And,
Yes, thank you, by the way, today. Again, the students, you're the best. Yes, Jason in the control room.
Yep.
So I had a question. We got about a minute left here as we wrap up with Joe Markowski, the host of the Nashville Sound on WNHU 88.7. You were talking about having country artists on your show, and you mentioned Alan Jackson's niece. How do you get somebody like her or another up-and-coming country artist? Do you reach out to them? Do they reach out to you? How does that all work to appear on your show?
It's actually a little bit of a mix of both. I mean, people reach out to me. One of the things I look for is I make sure they're only playing traditional country, and then I'll have them on. But it's really a mix of both. I mean, if I see somebody who I really like, I'll reach out to them. And most of the time, they're people that, just like anybody else, they're looking to get their voice heard. And, you know, I'll offer that opportunity for them. And most of the time they're willing to come all the way here to the university. And I'm so blessed and I'm so honored when people do that. It really means the world. And they're always impressed, too, when they come to WNHU to see the facilities.
You're darn right.
I mean, we've had John Cadillac Seville, he co-hosts the show with me, and he says, Joe, he says, wow, he says, you know, this radio station is nicer than just about anyone I've ever worked in.
And on that note, we must conclude. But Joe, give a plug for when people can hear the Nashville Sounds.
Yes, well, you could tune into the Nashville Sound Tuesdays, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern, whether on 88.7 FM radio or nationwide, worldwide at WNHU.org.
Joe Markowski, sophomore communications major here at the University of New Haven. He is very comfortable on this side of the mic. He is as advertised, and I think next season it might be Charger 360 with Joe Markowski and Bruce Barber, and yours truly might be out of a job. He's
How
smooth.
about that?
You're smooth, Joe. 2 years in, I can't wait to see what you do over your next couple of years here at the University of New Haven.
Thank you so much,
Thanks for
guys.
being here with us on Charger 360. All right, Bruce, excellent job mentoring him.
Why, thank you.
You haven't damaged him yet, so good for you. There's still time.
Thank you.
That'll wrap up this edition of Charger 360, telling the stories of the University of New Haven. For Joe Markowski and Bruce Barber, I'm J.W. Stewart. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.